Now that we've gotten a hang of the first few tools, let's try out some other tools. You'll find that the tool palette offers tools kind of in pairs. We saw that the pencil tool creates strokes. Well, we've got a paintbrush tool over here that creates fills. I'm just going to click on the paintbrush tool, and we've got some typical paintbrush tool type options. I've got a size here. I'm going to go for a really big brush. And I've got a shape, and I'm going to choose kind of a calligraphy style shape here. And if I take this tool and drag around, I'm going to create a nice smooth vector shape. You'll notice it's orange color, which indicates that that's going to be a fill. And we can see that we drew a fill and not a stroke by going over to our selection tool. And I'll just grab a hold of the edge of it like we modified the other shapes and pull it out a little bit. And you can see that we're just working with a fill shape there. Now let's take a look at another tool set. Over here I've got a paint bucket tool, and if I hold down on it, we've got another tool called the ink bottle. Now you probably have used a paint bucket before, so let's give that a try first. This is just going to fill an area with color. So obviously we're creating a fill shape with this. Now if I go with the paint bucket tool over to any closed area and just click, you can see that I created a fill. It's not going to work in an area where I don't have any closed shape. If I try to click here in empty space, I'm not getting anything. But by using it, I can create a fill from a stroke anytime I want to. Now let's take a look at that ink bottle tool. We saw that our tools are paired by stroke and fill. This is kind of like a paint bucket for strokes. Now remember, I've got a blue color for my strokes here. Let me go over to my fill shape, which does not have a stroke on it. And if I click right on the outside of it, I'm going to create a stroke on my fill. Now, both of these tools can also be used to change color if you like. If I were to go over and change my stroke color to, let's say, kind of a bright green, I can go down and click on an existing stroke and simply just dump the color into that stroke. The same thing's true for my fill. If I change the fill color to, let's say, a light blue, I'll switch back to my paint bucket tool, and I'll change this fill over here to a light blue fill. Now we do have some other basic tools here, like a line segment tool. That's pretty easy. You're just going to draw straight line segments with this. But don't forget that we have the ability to reshape every single one of these curves. So you can use these tools in ways that you haven't probably thought of before. Like for instance, a line segment is a great starting point for an arc. If we just go over to our selection tool and we pull on that, we get a nice smooth arc that we can modify right from our line segment. Now we can also use the eyedropper tool. This is a great tool when you want to pick up color from one object and drop it onto another one. As I drag it over my stage, you'll see that it actually recognizes whether I'm picking up the color for a fill or a stroke. Once I pick up the color for that fill, it's going to choose the appropriate tool. Now if I pick up a fill color, it's going to give me the paint bucket tool, and I can drop that color right into any fill. If I go back and use that tool again on a stroke, it's going to switch me over to the ink bottle tool, and then I can use that color on any stroke. Now we do have a number of other tools up in the tool palette, but since we're working on a basic website here and we only have a limited amount of time, we'll be talking about some of those other tools in a later Flash CS4 series.